a moment at the end of every day when the world finally becomes quiet, when the noise fades, when the conversations stop, when the responsibilities pause, and you are left alone with your thoughts, your emotions, and the weight of everything you carried. It is in that fragile moment, right before you close your eyes, that the enemy tries to whisper fear, worry, and restlessness into your spirit. But it is also in that same moment that heaven leans close, waiting for you to invite the presence of God into your night. Because the truth is, you were never meant to end your day in anxiety, heaviness, or spiritual exhaustion. You were meant to end it with peace so deep that it fills your room, settles your mind, and wraps your heart in divine calmness. Tonight, I want you to imagine what would happen if you handed God every burden, every fear, every unfinished thought, every silent tear, and every worry you've been carrying. Imagine what your night would become if the presence of God stepped into your room and guarded your sleep. This is not just a prayer. It is a doorway to supernatural rest, healing, and peace. Surrendering the weight of the entire day to God is one of the most powerful spiritual practices a believer can cultivate, because every day you walk through conversations that left you uneasy, decisions that drained you, responsibilities that stretched you, and moments that left a mark on your soul, whether you realized it or not. As the day comes to a close, your mind carries everything you lived through, and if you don't intentionally release that weight, it follows you into the night, into your dreams, and into your next morning. That is why the end of the day is not meant to be a moment of collapsing into sleep, but a sacred transition where you acknowledge what you carried and then hand it over to the one who can truly hold it. You allow God to take the burden so your spirit can breathe again. When you surrender the weight of the entire day, you are telling heaven that you trust God more than your stress, your deadlines, your fears, or the things you couldn't finish. You are acknowledging that you were never designed to carry the weight of life alone, and that divine strength starts where human strength ends. Every person carries invisible loads. Some carry the weight of people's expectations. Some carry the pressure of responsibilities. Some carry unspoken worries about finances, relationships, or the future. Others carry guilt, regret, or words spoken by someone that pierce deeper than they want to admit. When the day ends, these unspoken burdens often rise to the surface. The mind becomes louder, the heart becomes sensitive, and the spirit becomes restless. This is why surrender is not optional. It is a spiritual technology that brings cleansing to the soul. When you come before God and say, Lord, this day is too heavy for me to carry into the night, heaven responds to that humility, because God is drawn to surrender more than perfection. He does not ask you to have everything figured out. He asks you to bring everything to Him. Surrendering the weight of the day is also an act of faith. It is saying, God, I am placing the unresolved in your hands. I am placing the painful in your hands. I am placing the confusing in your hands. It is choosing rest over anxiety, choosing trust over overthinking, choosing peace over pressure. Many people lie down, but they don't actually rest because their mind continues fighting battles God never asked them to fight alone. They review conversations, rethink decisions, replay failures, and carry unresolved emotions into the night. But when you surrender the day to God, you silence that inner warfare. You tell your mind, this is not the time to fight. This is the time to release. You tell your emotions, you do not have to carry this weight anymore. You tell your spirit, return to your peace. This kind of surrender reshapes the atmosphere of your room. What was heavy becomes light. What was chaotic becomes calm. What felt overwhelming suddenly feels manageable, because the presence of God steps in. When you step back, you begin to feel a shift inside you, a divine exchange where God takes your heaviness and gives you His peace. The moment you let go, heaven begins to lift you. This is why so many people wake up tired, because they slept, but they didn't surrender. They closed their eyes, but their spirit didn't rest. Surrendering the weight of the day repairs this cycle by allowing your soul to reset. When you surrender, you also make room for God to heal the parts of you that were bruised throughout the day. He heals the disappointment, the frustration, the exhaustion, the discouragement, and the silent battles you fought alone. He repairs the cracks in your confidence, restores the strength you lost, and renews the peace that stress tried to steal. This is why people who practice nightly surrender live with a different kind of calmness. They do not carry yesterday into today. They begin each morning with a lighter heart, a clearer mind, and a stronger spirit. Surrendering the weight of the day is a declaration that the day is finished, the battle is God's, and your heart is safe in His hands. It is choosing not to end your day with heaviness, but with trust. It is understanding that peace is not something you fight for. It is something you receive when you let go. When you surrender to God at night, you invite Him to take over where your strength ends. And when He steps in, peace fills your room, fills your mind, and fills your sleep. Inviting divine peace to occupy your atmosphere is one of the most transformative spiritual decisions you can make at the end of your day, because peace is not just the absence of noise or trouble. It is the presence of God Himself entering the space where you sleep, breathe, and think. When you intentionally ask God to fill your room with His peace, you are acknowledging that nothing in your environment, nothing in your thoughts, and nothing in your emotions has the authority to dominate your night except His presence. Peace is not passive, it is powerful. It is a force that settles storms, silences anxiety, and brings stability to a heart that has been stretched throughout the day. When divine peace enters your atmosphere, everything that was unsettled begins to align. Your mind slows down, your emotions quiet down, your spirit becomes still. It is not something you can manufacture, it is something you invite. Many people try to find peace through distractions, scrolling on their phones, watching videos, listening to noise, or keeping themselves occupied to avoid thinking. But distraction is not peace. True peace is when your heart is calm even in silence. True peace is when your thoughts stop racing. True peace is when your room feels spiritually protected, emotionally safe, and mentally quiet. This kind of peace can only come from God. When you invite Him in, your room becomes more than a room. It becomes a sanctuary, a resting place, a healing space. You can sleep in any environment, but you can only rest where peace is present. Without peace, sleep becomes shallow and restless, filled with tension, worry, and spiritual disturbances. But when divine peace fills your room, sleep becomes a place of restoration. Inviting divine peace means acknowledging that not everything that tried to attach itself to you during the day should follow you into the night. Throughout the day, you encounter stress, arguments, pressure, negative energy, expectations from people, spiritual attacks, and emotional heaviness. These things cling to you without your permission. If you do not intentionally invite peace, your room becomes a place where your mind continues fighting invisible battles long after the day has ended. But the moment you say, God, fill this place with your peace, you are drawing a line in the spirit. You are saying that anxiety cannot enter this room, fear cannot stay in this atmosphere, confusion has no right to disturb your rest, and spiritual unrest has no place to operate while you sleep. There is a reason peace is called a gift from God. It is not something you earn, it is something you receive. But you must create space for it. Peace cannot fill a room that is already occupied by worry. Peace cannot settle where your mind is overcrowded with fear. Peace enters when you make room for it, when you quiet your heart enough to hear God whisper, when you allow His presence to become the dominant atmosphere over everything else. The moment divine peace walks into your room, everything that is not of God must bow. Darkness must leave. Restlessness must leave. Emotional noise must cease. It is like placing a shield around yourself that nothing can penetrate. When divine peace occupies your room, you begin to feel a physical and spiritual shift. Your breathing becomes deeper. Your chest feels lighter. Your thoughts become calmer. Your emotions become steady. You feel a soft stillness hover over you, the kind that reassures you that you are not alone, that heaven is guarding your night, that God is with you even in your sleep. Peace becomes a blanket that covers you. It becomes a barrier that protects you. It becomes a presence that comforts you. Inviting divine peace also places your mind in the right posture for sleep. Your body can lie down, but your mind does not rest until peace sits upon it. You cannot fight tomorrow's battles with a mind that did not rest today. When peace fills your atmosphere, you receive clarity, strength, and emotional balance that carry into the next morning. This is why people who sleep in the presence of peace wake up differently. They rise refreshed, not drained. They wake with strength, not heaviness. They begin their day with clarity instead of confusion. Divine peace also rewrites the spiritual environment of your room. It invites angels to stand guard. It pushes away spiritual interference. It surrounds you with a sense of calm that protects your dreams, your thoughts, and your heart. You sleep under the covering of heaven. That kind of peace is not ordinary. It is supernatural. To invite divine peace is to welcome God into your space, into your rest, into your night. It is to say, Lord, take over this atmosphere. Let nothing move here except your presence. When divine peace fills your room, your sleep becomes a divine appointment. Your night becomes a place of healing, and your heart becomes a resting place for God. Covering your night with spiritual protection is one of the most important parts of ending your day, because the night is not just a time of physical rest, it is a spiritual gate. A vulnerable window where the mind slows down, the body becomes still, and the soul becomes more open. In the night, your defenses are lowered, your thoughts drift freely, and your spirit enters a realm where you cannot consciously fight the battles that confront you. That is why you do not enter the night casually. You enter it covered. You enter it under the shield of God's presence. You enter it declaring that while you sleep, heaven will stand watch. Every believer must understand that nighttime is not just darkness. It is a spiritual environment where unseen things move, where dreams form, where attacks can manifest, and where God's protection becomes your greatest advantage. Throughout the day, you operate with awareness. You can pray, think, make decisions, resist certain feelings, and calm your emotions. But at night, consciousness fades. Your mind is no longer guarding your thoughts. Your emotions are no longer actively filtering experiences. Your body is no longer responding to danger. That is why spiritual protection is not a suggestion, it is a necessity. When you say, Lord, cover my night, you are placing your sleep, your mind, your dreams, your spirit, and your home under divine watch. You are inviting the presence of God to become the guardian of your rest. You are declaring that no spiritual disturbance, no fear, no attack, no nightmare, and no hidden darkness has any authority to touch you while you sleep. Many people underestimate the power of the night. They think rest is simply physical, but the spirit remains active even when the body sleeps. That is why dreams can feel real, why emotions can rise in sleep, why people wake up tired even after hours of lying down. If the spirit is unprotected, the night becomes a place of warfare. Fearful dreams, spiritual pressure, sudden anxiety, restless sleep, waking up heavy. These are not always random. Many are signs that the night was not spiritually covered. When you pray for protection before sleeping, you are pushing back darkness. You are shutting spiritual doors. You are silencing every voice that wants to disturb your night. You are declaring that heaven has taken shift over your home. Covering your night with spiritual protection also brings inner stability. When you know you are protected, your heart settles. Anxiety leaves. The mind releases control. Fear cannot take root. You sleep with confidence because you have handed your night to God. Imagine a child sleeping peacefully because they know a parent is in the room. Your spirit rests the same way when you invite God to remain in the room of your sleep. You no longer lie down with the weight of worry. You lie down under the covering of assurance. You lie down knowing that while you sleep, God is awake. There are things you cannot fight in your sleep, but God can. There are battles you cannot see, but heaven sees them. There are spiritual influences that try to enter your atmosphere, but they cannot cross a room that has been covered by prayer. When the presence of God guards your night, it becomes impossible for darkness to enter. Your dreams become clear. Your thoughts become peaceful. Your spirit becomes steady. You sleep in a protected environment, wrapped in the safety of divine presence. Spiritual protection also extends to your home. When you pray over your room, your bed, your family, and your night, you build a spiritual wall around your dwelling. You ensure that no negative influence, emotional, mental, or spiritual, has access to your environment. You are not just protecting your body, you are protecting your peace, your destiny, your clarity, and your spiritual strength. A protected night becomes a foundation for a victorious morning. A peaceful sleep becomes fuel for a strong spirit. Covering your night also breaks cycles of fear. Many people struggle with fear of the dark, fear of being alone, fear of sleeping, or fear of what might happen in the night. When you invite God's protection, fear loses authority. You no longer sleep under the shadow of dread. You sleep under the shadow of the Almighty. You experience the safety that only divine presence can provide. You wake up refreshed, restored, and spiritually aligned. When you cover your night with spiritual protection, you are not just defending yourself, you are preparing your spirit to receive dreams, instructions, healing, and encounters that only come through peaceful, protected sleep. The night becomes a meeting place between your spirit and God. It becomes a place where angels stand guard, where darkness is denied access, and where divine peace becomes your companion until the morning. Aligning your mind with gratitude before sleeping is a powerful spiritual discipline, because gratitude is not just an emotion. It is a doorway that shifts your heart into harmony with God's presence. Throughout the day, you encounter stress, problems, unexpected distractions, and moments that drain your inner peace. Your mind absorbs all of it, storing experiences that carry both weight and emotion. If you do not intentionally redirect your thoughts at the end of the day, the mind will cling to what went wrong instead of what went right. Gratitude interrupts this pattern. It lifts your attention from pressure to perspective, from chaos to clarity, from what you lost to what God sustained. Gratitude is not denying your challenges. It is choosing to focus on the grace that carried you through them. When you close your day with thanksgiving, you silence the voice of worry and activate the voice of peace. A grateful mind cannot be troubled at the same time. The moment you begin to reflect on what God protected you from, what He provided, what He strengthened, what He resolved, and what He taught you, something begins to shift inside you. Your spirit becomes lighter because gratitude forces you to see the fingerprints of God in places you overlooked. Or maybe the day was difficult, but you made it through. Maybe the answer didn't come, but God sustained you. Maybe you faced stress, but you were not destroyed by it. Gratitude turns these silent victories into reminders that you are not walking alone. It resets your inner world and clears the emotional clutter. When your gratitude rises, your anxiety loses influence. When your gratitude rises, your heart becomes calmer. When your gratitude rises, the peace of God begins to fill the room. Gratitude also aligns your mind with heaven's perspective. During the day, the mind often becomes consumed by problems, responsibilities, and the things that didn't go as planned. But when you end your day with thanksgiving, you are training your spirit to see beyond the surface. You begin to interpret your day through God's faithfulness instead of your frustration. You start to realize that even in moments of weakness, God was strengthening you. Even in moments of confusion, God was protecting you from worse. Even in moments of disappointment, God was redirecting you towards something better. Gratitude sharpens your spiritual sight. It opens your heart to understanding. It places your mind in alignment with the truth that God has been present in every detail of your day. When you practice nightly gratitude, you also create room for emotional healing. Many people hold on to irritation, sadness, anger, or heaviness without realizing it. These emotions, if not released, follow them into the night and disturb their sleep. But gratitude purifies the heart. It releases bitterness. It softens disappointment. It dissolves emotional tension. It gives you permission to let go of the weight you carried through the day, because it reminds you that God's grace has been enough. A grateful heart sleeps lighter. A grateful heart sleeps deeper. A grateful heart sleeps under the awareness that God has been good. Gratitude at night is also a form of worship. It tells God that you recognize His hand even in ordinary things. The breath in your lungs, the food you ate, the people you interacted with, the moments you laughed, the strength you received to handle difficult situations. When you thank God for these things, you invite His presence to settle in your room, because gratitude attracts divine presence. It becomes a magnet for peace. It transforms the environment of your room from a place of restlessness into a place of spiritual calmness. The atmosphere shifts because gratitude opens the door for God to dwell in your night. Practicing gratitude before sleep prepares your heart for the next day. You cannot begin tomorrow with strength if you end today with heaviness. Gratitude clears the slate. It resets your emotions. It stabilizes your thoughts. It gives your spirit the oxygen it needs to face another day. When you end your night appreciating God's faithfulness, you begin your morning expecting His goodness. You go to sleep with thanks and wake up with hope. You lie down with peace and rise with clarity. Aligning your mind with gratitude is more than a habit, it is a spiritual reset. It shifts your focus from what drained you to what carried you. It opens your heart to the peace that comes only from God. It turns your night into a sanctuary where your soul rests. Your mind releases its weight, and your spirit embraces the quiet assurance that God has been good, God is still good, and God will be good tomorrow. Reconnecting your heart to divine direction at the end of the day is one of the most essential spiritual practices, because the world constantly pulls your attention in different directions, and the human mind absorbs noise, pressure, and confusion without even realizing it. Every conversation you had today, every decision you had to make, every situation you faced, they all shape the posture of your heart. By the time the day ends, your inner compass may no longer be pointing where God needs it to point. Your emotions may be tired, your thoughts may be scattered, and your spirit may be stretched thin. This is why the night is not just a time for physical rest, but a time to realign your heart with God's voice. When you intentionally reconnect to divine direction, You are resetting the spiritual navigation of your life so you do not start the next day lost, overwhelmed, or unaware of what God is trying to lead you into. Throughout the day, you often operate in human reasoning, reacting, responding, solving problems, trying to manage responsibilities. But when night falls and stillness settles in, your heart becomes more open to correction, wisdom, and guidance. The noise of the world quiets down, and the whispers of heaven become easier to hear. Divine direction is not loud, it is subtle. It comes through a gentle impression, a scripture rising in your heart, a sudden moment of clarity, or a quiet awareness of what God wants you to stop, change, or pursue. When you reconnect with God at night, you position yourself to receive insights that the distractions of the day cannot reveal. You create space for God to interrupt wrong thinking, cancel unnecessary fears, and recalibrate your heart. Many people go to sleep with confusion because they didn't pause long enough to listen. They drift into the night carrying questions, frustration, or uncertainty. But divine direction comes to those who ask, who open their heart, who slow their spirit long enough to receive. When you say, Lord, speak to my heart before I sleep, you are inviting divine wisdom to sit with you. You are giving God access to redirect your steps, adjust your perspective, and prepare your spirit for what lies ahead. Divine direction brings inner confidence. It protects you from emotional impulsiveness. It helps you release control and trust the path God is shaping for you. Reconnecting your heart also heals the areas of your spirit that became misaligned throughout the day. Human emotions are unpredictable. Sometimes you get discouraged. Sometimes you get overwhelmed. Sometimes you feel distant from God without knowing why. By nightfall, a spiritual fog can settle over the heart. This is why reconnecting is essential. It removes the fog. It reminds your heart of what matters. It pulls you out of fear and back into faith. It shifts your focus from your worries to God's wisdom. It comforts the parts of you that felt shaken. It restores the certainty that God has not left you, that He is guiding you even when the day felt confusing. Reconnecting with divine direction allows you to surrender your plans and listen for God's. Sometimes you walked in your own strength during the day. Sometimes you forced decisions that didn't feel right. Sometimes you tried to solve things God wanted you to release. Nighttime is where God gently realigns you. He reminds you of His purpose. He whispers direction. He pulls your heart back from paths that are draining you. He gives clarity where your mind created tension. He restores divine order where your emotions created chaos. When you reconnect, God begins to shift your focus from what you want to what He wants. And in that shift, you find peace. This nightly realignment protects your future. A person who ends the day without divine direction begins the next day without clarity. They wake up reactive instead of purposeful, anxious instead of grounded, busy instead of guided. But when your heart reconnects to God before sleep, you do not enter tomorrow empty. You enter with direction. You enter with wisdom. You enter with peace. You wake up already aligned, already strengthened, already aware of what God is pulling you toward and what He is pulling you away from. Reconnecting your heart to divine direction is not just a moment of prayer. It is a spiritual reset. It pulls you out of confusion and into clarity. It brings order to your thoughts, peace to your spirit, and purpose to your steps. It allows God to prepare your heart for the days ahead, to cleanse you of emotional clutter, and to guide you with the quiet certainty that you are not walking in your own wisdom, but under divine direction. When you reconnect with God at night, you end the day with alignment and begin the next day with purpose. Speaking prophetic rest, renewal, and freedom over your night is a powerful spiritual act because words shape atmospheres, and whatever you declare becomes the environment your spirit sleeps in. The end of the day is when your body becomes tired, your emotions become sensitive, and your mind becomes vulnerable to replaying everything you experienced. This is the moment when negative thoughts can rise, silent fears can become louder, and the enemy often tries to whisper doubt, anxiety, and discouragement. But when you begin to speak prophetic words over your night, you reclaim authority over your atmosphere. You are not just talking, you are shaping the spiritual climate around you. You are declaring that your sleep will not be a place of worry, but a place of rest. You are commanding your night to align with heaven. You are announcing to every unseen force that your spirit is off limits. Prophetic declarations shift the environment from heavy to peaceful, from troubled to calm, from restless to restful, because your words activate spiritual power. When you declare rest, you are telling your body to release tension and your mind to release overthinking. Rest is not just physical, it is spiritual. Many people sleep but do not rest because their thoughts continue fighting battles long after they lie down. But when you declare, I will rest tonight, you are placing your soul under divine calmness. You are silencing every internal storm. You are reminding your spirit that God is in control. You are inviting heaven's tranquility to settle over you like a blanket. Prophetic rest tells the unseen world that nothing has permission to disturb your sleep. You create a shield around your night through your own words, and everything that tries to steal your rest loses power. Speaking renewal over your night is just as important. Renewal means you are asking God to restore the parts of you that became drained, weakened, or weary during the day. Life can be exhausting. Emotional situations wear you down. People's expectations stretch you. Responsibilities demand your energy, and spiritual battles weaken your strength. But renewal is God breathing life back into what the day tried to drain. When you declare renewal, you are inviting God to refill your spirit, repair your inner strength, refresh your emotions, and restore your peace. You are asking heaven to release fresh grace, fresh clarity, and fresh strength while you sleep. Many people try to start a new day without renewal, and that's why they feel empty even after hours of rest. But when you declare renewal over your night, you are preparing your spirit to rise in the morning energized, focused, and spiritually grounded. Speaking freedom is equally powerful. Freedom means breaking every chain. Mental chains, emotional chains, spiritual chains that try to attach themselves to you during the day. Throughout the day, you face pressures, voices, thoughts, and situations that try to limit you, discourage you, or pull you into negativity. If you do not speak freedom over your night, those same chains will follow you into your sleep and rise with you in the morning. But the moment you declare freedom, something shifts. You are telling your mind, you will not be bound by fear tonight. You are telling your emotions, you will not carry today's pain into your dreams. You are telling your spirit, you are not a prisoner of stress, anxiety, or heaviness. Freedom is not just a feeling, it is a spiritual reality you establish with your words. When you speak freedom, you break cycles. You silence voices of discouragement. You close the door to spiritual oppression. You announce that your night will not be a battlefield, but a place of healing. Prophetic declarations over your night also invite angels to stand guard over your sleep. You create an environment where peace becomes your atmosphere, renewal becomes your portion, and freedom becomes your covering. Your words build a spiritual wall that darkness cannot cross. You are not just preparing your body for rest, you are preparing your spirit for restoration. You are turning your night into a holy moment where God works on you, strengthens you, resets you, and frees you from everything the day tried to plant. When you speak prophetic rest, renewal, and freedom, you are rewriting the spiritual script of your night. You are choosing what will enter your dreams, what will touch your thoughts, and what will influence your spirit. You are choosing peace over pressure, clarity over confusion, strength over weakness, and freedom over fear. You are declaring that your night belongs to God, your rest belongs to God, your mind belongs to God, and nothing has permission to disturb what God is covering. Speaking these words is not just routine, it is spiritual warfare, atmosphere shifting, soul healing, destiny protecting power. Your night becomes a sanctuary, your room becomes a heaven, your sleep becomes a divine appointment where heaven renews you. And when morning comes, you rise with a peace that cannot be shaken, a strength that cannot be explained, and a freedom that cannot be taken away. As you bring this entire message together, the truth becomes clear. The way you end your day determines the condition of your spirit when a new one begins. When you release your burdens, invite divine peace, cover your night with protection, align your mind with gratitude, reconnect your heart to God's direction, and speak prophetic rest, renewal, and freedom over your sleep. You are not just preparing to lie down, you are preparing your soul for transformation. Nighttime becomes more than silence. It becomes a holy moment where heaven draws near, where God ministers to your heart, where your room becomes a sanctuary filled with His presence. You are no longer going to bed with heaviness, fear, or scattered thoughts. You are entering your night wrapped in the peace of God, guarded by His angels and strengthened by His presence. Your sleep becomes an altar, your room becomes a refuge, and your spirit becomes renewed with every breath you take under His covering. When you end your day this way, you do not wake up the same. You rise restored. You rise clear-minded. You rise spiritually aligned. You rise with peace that makes no sense to the world and strength that could only come from God. Every night becomes an opportunity for healing, for alignment, for replenishing, and for divine encounters. Every night becomes a reminder that you are not alone, that God is with you in the quiet moments, in the stillness, in the darkness, and in your dreams. Ending your day with this kind of prayer is not a ritual. It is a lifestyle, a shield, a spiritual reset that prepares you for victory, clarity, and purpose every morning. May your nights from this day forward be filled with peace that calms your spirit, rest that restores your strength, and protection that surrounds your home. May the presence of God fill your room like a gentle flood, washing away every fear, settling every worry, and quieting every storm. May your sleep become a divine encounter where God renews your heart, heals your mind, and strengthens your spirit. May every night be covered, every dream be protected, and every morning be filled with fresh grace. Thank you for allowing me to walk with you through this journey of spiritual peace and restoration. May God bless you richly. May His peace rest upon you, and may you experience new levels of rest, renewal, and divine clarity. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for trusting me to help you shape these words. May every night you sleep be a night wrapped in His presence.